What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, and we're going to do another walking back from work video. Again, it's usually because initial scheduling plans have changed, and or more so Konami have dropped some big news. So there are massive events, two massive events coming out in October for UK players, and then of course European players as well. So let's start off with the first one. The first one actually went on for pre-reg today, is YCS Utrecht. So the first European YCS is coming back. It is in Utrecht, where they were to have one, I believe it was the start of this year. So it is €21 for entry. I believe you would get your standard 5 packs. It will be the 14th to the 16th, I believe, of October. So it is 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks before Darkwind Blast comes out. So it will still be with Power of the Elements. I would be amazed if we don't have a new ban list by then. How much that ban list will change the current format, I'm not too sure. I think like at the very base minimum, I'd expect people will be taking out Mystic Mines from their deck. That's probably going to be the biggest change, and maybe Fairy Tale Snow. Maybe something to do with the Frog Engine, but less likely. Anyway, masks are mandatory. It is in Utrecht. They are going to be following the Netherlands kind of government guidelines. So masks are mandatory, and you have to provide proof of your vaccination when you go. So I'm not sure how that will fall under if you're exempt or anything like that, but they are two major points to be fully aware of. Secondly, 2 weeks after that, not only is Darkwind Blast released, but there is a UK Open. Now, a UK Open, I think the last one I went to was like 2017 or 2018, and basically, I'm not too sure what if there's like invites or anything up for grabs. It's a giant, wouldn't really say regional, but it is like a giant event. Now, I think the last time I went to one, we were there, I was in London till like midnight, so it was, I think it's like 8 or 9 rounds. They did like a full first day. There's no day 2 or anything like that. It was just one full day, everything you can. Now, this is up in Sheffield, so exactly where they held the Nats for this year as well. I believe it's open to anyone, so if you do fancy trekking all the way to UK for Sheffield, you can go to that event. It is, I believe, a 1-day event, but unlike the YCS, which will be the Saturday and Sunday, you will need to pretty much get up there on the Friday, because it starts really early Saturday morning. So unless you're local, or you don't mind a very, very early wake up, you're probably going to want to do it that way. It will be the first, as I cross the road, it will be the first big event under Darkwind Blast, and obviously because it'll be what I'd expect it to be, is post ban list as well. So it's a little bit more enticing than Utrecht, though if we can get our hotel that we had when we had to cancel it, we're going to get our refund on that, which sucked. It might be good to go to Utrecht, but it'll all be dependent on if the ban list shakes it up. Anyway, it's two major events. It's really nice that YCS is coming back. Hopefully that means we get like YCS London or something like along those lines, which would be really, really cool. That being said, actually, the London Comic Con, which is like the biggest Comic Con in the UK that we have, is a week after Sheffield. So I doubt that's going to be hosting a YCS. They probably could have done it there. Maybe costs, or maybe, actually, what makes a bit more sense is if the venue for Utrecht basically said, we can't let you cancel it, we can't let you refund it, but because of the restrictions when it happened back in like March or earlier this year, they probably said, all right, we'll move you to a date you can choose. Which, if is the case, I would have liked to think we could have got a bit more notice. That's probably my only criticism of it, but I know that the European like Konami, it's run by this Yugioh, not Yugioh organisation. It's the organisation that runs it in the European areas. I know they've obviously worked really, really hard. They had to get Euros done. Well, they had to get Nats done, Euros done, and then obviously YCS. So maybe the planning has been hindered by that kind of element. But on the biggest bright side, the fact that we've been able to go to Antwerp, the fact that they're now bringing back YCS, means that moving into 2023 there'll probably be 3 or 4 more YCSs. So usually they do a YCS in Germany, and then they'll do like a YCS in UK. We haven't really seen the Order of the Traveller, which, for those of you that are unaware of this, is basically an exclusive mat, and I believe Field Centre. I think the last one I saw didn't have a Field Centre. But basically, if you go to all of the YCSs around the world, or around Europe, around Europe, because obviously you don't want to be going to the American YCSs, you get like not like a stamp or anything, but when you register, as long as you turn up and you enter, I believe you have to stay like the first 3 rounds, something like that. If you go to all of them, at the last YCS of that season, you can go and collect like a special edition mat. Now some of these, I think the best one I've ever seen is the Burning Abyss one. Absolutely incredible. They also had a Noble Knights one, which was really, really nice. And then I think the most recent one that I remember, which is a long time ago, there was the 6 Samurai one, which also looked really, really cool, but could have been better. But it was still really cool. Anyway, so that's 2 massive events coming out in October. If you are UK based, you've got 2. If you're European based, of course, you've got 1 in the form of the YCS. It's great to have that back in circulation. It's a bit of a shame. I'm trying to think if I would have rather they switched it around. Obviously, I'm not saying that they could have done it, but would I have preferred a UK version with the old list and then a YCS with the new set? Don't know. It's going to be interesting though. I can't wait to see what the ban list does. I think there's going to be, I don't know, it's a weird one, it's a weird moment, because I think it's at a point where, unless the ban list is going to neuter the new decks, that it's going to be very, very tricky to do. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, there's ways to hit sprites in the form of the legacy cards they have, because they do play a lot more legacy cards than the tier elements. And I think the best way that I summed this up previously is tier elements actually abuse a mechanic of the game, whereas sprites themselves don't really do that. And what I mean by that is, they're not like level manipulation, they're not like a generic mechanic of the game. They're not like, okay, well, we can just XYZ, like Zodiacs did, XYZ with 1 monster. It's more so, level 2 spam. Whereas tier elements, because they abuse a mechanic in the form of the graveyard, sending stuff to the graveyard by multiple means, or by card effect technically, it allows them to play a lot more cards. Now, we saw on the OCG list that the OCG pretty much just slapped tier elements in the face. They went, all right, well, we have this is going to go to 2. Your field spell is going to go to 1, so straight away your tier element consistency has been knocked back by about 3 cards. And then on top of that, we're also going to hit the new fairy cards, and I believe they went down to 1 each or 2 each. And there's already a lot, not speculation, but there's a lot of worry at my local environments already. For those of them that know what the new fairy Izuhu cards do, it's not pretty. It's not nice. It's not pretty. They basically just instigate milling your opponent's deck out. So it's like, not only have you got a deck that can interact with you during your opponent's turn, but it also has a deck that abuses the graveyard mechanic and the deck mill mechanic. So not fun at all. Anyway, so that's it. A short, trying to get it under 10-minute video, but I just like talking as I'm walking back. However, excited to have these 2 events back. Great that YCS is back. It's a shame that I may not be able to make it. It's looking very, very unlikely. So I'm kind of at that point where it's like, please sell out, and then I haven't got an excuse to try and do it. But yeah, still going to be an interesting event. It would be nice to kind of see how it goes. I feel that a lot is undecided. I feel when a ban list drops, or if the ban list drops, that might change people's perspective, because I know there's a lot of players that are like, nah, I really don't like the format, don't really want to go all the way to Utrecht just to get your butt whooped, or don't want to go all the way to Utrecht just to play tier elements, play sprites, you know, you want to kind of change it up a little bit. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope this has been informative. If you didn't know about the YCSs, you should be able to find that on the Yugioh European Facebook page. You'll be able to sign up for that. You'll also be able to find information on the UK Open Day as well, so you do not miss out on either of those events. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.